everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of The Incredibles, the 2004 Pixar film that I absolutely love. This may not come as a surprise to very many people considering I have this in the background, but I am a big superhero film fan, and The Incredibles is my favorite Pixar film of all time. And yes, I do think it has something to do with the fact that there's superheroes in it, but I don't think that that has a lot to do with it, actually. I love the core concepts of this film. I love the importance of family in this movie and how integral to the story that is. And I love the whole idea of your actions coming back and to either haunt you or reward you. And beyond that, your actions can have a huge effect on those around you, and that you need to consider how you treat the people around you, because you don't know what you could be doing to somebody if you're mean to them or dismissive of them. And I just absolutely love that concept, and the whole idea also of taking responsibility for the things that you've done, and the validity of regret, but also the futility of it, and that you need to move forward. I love all those concepts that are wrapped up in this story. And for those of you who haven't seen it, first off, go see it now. It's awesome. Freaking awesome. But basically the core concept of this film is you have these two characters, the Elastigirl and Mr. Incredible, and they're both superheroes, and then they're saving the world over and over again. Then all of a sudden being a superhero becomes illegal, so they have to adopt an everyday kind of life, and Elastigirl takes to it a lot better than Mr. Incredible. He struggles with becoming a regular Joe, and he still wants to go out there and save the day. And I thought that was fantastic, because at the core of this film you have this couple they're very much in love, and you can see their connection throughout most of their actions, but at the same time they're not entirely on the same page as to where they are in life. And I thought that was very realistic, and I love the whole concept where, like I said, where all of a sudden being a superhero becomes illegal. And I thought that this film did a fantastic job of telling what would come from that. Like it was like they sat down and were like, okay, if this happened, where would that go? And the effect that it would have on the superheroes feels very realistic, where some of them might be relatively fine and be able to go back into the everyday world with aplomb and be happy, where some of them would struggle to try to get back those moments of grandeur. I thought that was very well told. And then they have kids in this, which there's two core ones, Dash and Violet. Violet is able to create a force field, and Dash can run really fast, and yes, he doesn't become turned on fire, but it's really cool because this film really does feel like an analogy to the Fantastic Four, which is one of my favorite comic book superhero teams of all time. And so that was cool. Their abilities are very similar to those. Like Mr. Incredible feels a little bit like the Thing, and Elastigirl, Mr. Fantastic, and Violet, and the Invisible Woman, and Dash is the closest thing to the Human Torch. But there's also another character that may be a little bit more similar, but not one of the core characters. So I love that similarity, but I also love the whole idea of these two children that have these abilities, and they've grown up knowing of the adventures of their parents, and they want to the Dash specifically wants to be a hero of their ilk, but he has to kind of hold back, and the way that whole situation works, like Dash is in school and he's playing football or whatever, and he has to hold back because it's unfair. I love how, like I said, this film is fantastic for the organic way in which they consider the world and how it would affect these characters. I thought it was great. And then you have the third child, Jack Shack, who's basically out of the running throughout most of the film, but he can be like the Human Torch, turn on fire. But you find out that he can do almost anything, and they keep flashing back to him with his babysitter who's actually absolutely being terrorized by his abilities. That was absolutely hilarious. And you have the core villain who you get introduced to him early on in the film as Incredible Boy or what have you, and he's this kid who absolutely adores Mr. Incredible, and he's his hero, and he wants to be his sidekick, and he looks up to him, and he gets rebuked by Mr. Incredible, and gets taken away, and the feeling of inadequacy and anger that he gets from being rejected by Mr. Incredible makes him mature into the character of Syndrome, who's this technology-based villain who, again, reminds me a great deal of Dr. Doom in that effect, where he doesn't have abilities, but he uses his mind to create these things that are able to beat Mr. Incredible, and he has him in the palm of his hand, and his whole character, I think, was absolutely fascinating because, like I said, you get introduced to him as a boy, and he comes off like he's so sweet in that sequence, and then to see where he goes, and to understand that he got there partially because of being rejected by his hero. And yes, of course, Mr. Incredible isn't entirely responsible, because obviously you have personal responsibility for your actions. You can't just write him off as being like, oh, you know, he might have been a hero otherwise. I mean, he absolutely might have, but you can't write off his actions based on that one rejection. But it also kind of gets to the core concept of the film, and I absolutely love that about it. And you also have a character named Edna Mode, which personally I feel is very much overrated. She's in one sequence. She's an interesting personality, but I like her when she's on film, but I have this kind of guttural reaction of being like, oh, I'm kind of looking forward to this being over, because I saw people just going absolutely nuts for her. Like, she was this untouted fantastic part of this film, and to me she's more of a means to an end, where she's like, basically she's the Q of this world, where she has these costumes for the various heroes in this film in order to them to use their abilities, and she's interesting, she's cool and all that, but she doesn't really do much. She's not overly funny. I mean, her personality is entertaining. She's very blunt and all, and all, but I don't know, it's just, to me, there's not much about her that does it for me. And on the other hand, there's a character that I feel like doesn't get enough credit, and that's Frozone, who's this other superhero who reminds me a lot of Iceman from the X-Men, where he basically can create ice from the vapor around him, and voiced by Samuel L. Jackson. I find him to be one of the most entertaining aspects of this film, and I just wish he was in it more, and I'm really hoping with The Incredibles 2 coming out in the future that he does have a more integral role in the story. That would be awesome. So those are my thoughts on The Incredibles. Let me know in the section below what you think, if you're a big fan, what your favorite Pixar film is, if you liked the core concept of the films as much as I did, or you were just like, hey buddy, don't take it so seriously, it's just a children's film, whatever. Other than that, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that other people will come check out this video and let me know what they think, which is something I'd absolutely love, because I love talking films with people. And speaking of which, if you are new here or you just haven't done it yet, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you can find out when I put out a new video and come check it out. And besides all of that, make sure you have yourself a good day.